Hey everyone. So Spirit has led me to record a video today, and to be honest, I'm not even exactly sure um, the actual topic that this is going to be about. I have lots of things rolling around in my head, so I'm assuming that that means I'm supposed to talk about a lot of stuff. So I think I'm going to start with the inner child program that I do, and I have a lot of people that message me and ask me about it, even outside the groups, that ask me what inner child work is and who it's for. So I don't want to go into a big long description about it, but the short version is that inner child work is if I want to use the word trauma, a lot of people automatically associate that with, childhood sexual abuse or abandonment or being beat as a child and things like that. They associate the word trauma with something violent, I guess you could say. Um, but even though it's called inner child healing, it's not just for that inner child part of us that's been wounded. So it has to do with anything that's happened from your earliest memories, all the way to even something that happened last week. If you experienced trauma last week. So what this program does is teach you the methods that I use and that I've sort of developed, that help you um, get into contact with your inner child. So it teaches you to look within and be able to essentially reach and comfort and heal that part of you that's wounded, so that you don't continue to carry it into your daily life and relationships. And because the thing is that inner child work is actually for everyone. You don't even have to have sorry, dogs. You don't even have to have experienced any type of major trauma to use it. Um, Even people who think that they've had amazing childhoods and don't have any quote trauma, it's still for them. We all have something painful that we carry around with us, even if it was just a bad breakup in your teen years or your 20s or whatever, or last week, like I said. Um, Saying a lot, sorry. So it'll teach you how to reach that part of you, identify the actual emotion and the type of pain that it is, and then learn how to heal it and comfort and not carry it into your next relationship or to your next job, or even just if you're single, just carrying it with you, period. So that's essentially what that is. And for me, it's been absolutely life changing. I am someone who has, well, I guess you can say I've literally lived through it all. I've been through childhood sexual abuse that went on for many years. Um, I've been through two very abusive, verbally and physically abusive marriages. I have been through adultery. I've been through, people close to me that are fighting um, major addictions. I've had, loss through death. I've lost a child. I've dealt with infertility. I mean, if you name it, I've had brain surgery. So, it's actually 5 surgeries, not all on my brain, but I mean, I'm just using these as examples that I've pretty much experienced. I mean, I don't want to say I've experienced all the trauma, because we all know, knock on wood, anything can happen. But I've been through sexual assault, rape, um, all of it. So in my program, the things that I talk about or that I ask you to talk about, they're all things that I've experienced. That's all a process that I've gone through myself. And it's really important for me to let you all know that in my program, I will never, ever ask you to do something that I haven't already done. Or if it's not something I've done yet, then I will be doing it with you. So this is not something where I'm up here, teaching from up here and looking down and saying, hey, everybody, do what I do and you're going to be wonderful and perfect, because that's not how it works. So I will be down right here. We will all be in the same spot, going through it together, sharing, learning, and I like to prepare people and let them know to not be surprised if things come up that you did not think that you were still carrying with you, or that you did not think that you that even still bothers you today or bothered you then. A lot of stuff will start to come up, and for some people that's really scary. The idea of that terrifies them, and they think, oh, I don't want to do that because I don't want to be upset and emotional and crying, and that's a completely valid and it's a real concern. But I can tell you that the difference is that facing it and dealing with it and going through the pain and the tears and the emotion of facing it is temporary. That part is temporary so that you can then feel better. If you don't face it and you continue to stuff it down, then not only does that create unhealthy disease and illnesses and pain inside the body physically, but it's also something that will continue to be there even if you don't think it is, in your subconscious, haunting relationships, haunting you, just affecting everything in your life, how you look at yourself, how you view the world, even things such as friendships or relationships with your kids. So, like, for example, for me, when my daughter turned 8 years old, I really, really struggled to figure out how to relate to her, how to bond with her, because my abuse was at its peak around 8 and 9 years old. So, and this was something I had already been to therapy for. So you would think that this shouldn't have been an issue for me, but this came up because I hadn't yet had an 8-year-old daughter, right? So this came up when she was around 8 years old, and I realized all of a sudden that I didn't have the first damn clue how to be an 8-year-old little girl. Sorry. I'm waiting for a package in the mail, so I have to watch them looking out the window. Sorry. I did not know how to be an 8-year-old little girl. So, because I never got to be an 8-year-old little girl. I never got to really experience that, fully on a, 100% level. And yes, I still did little girl things and I had my friends, but my innocence had been stolen. And that part of me, once that's gone, right? So now you fast forward and I have an 8-year-old daughter. And at that time, I couldn't figure out why I was feeling, it was really bizarre. It was almost like I couldn't hug her even sometimes because I didn't know how to comfort an 8-year-old little girl when I was an 8-year-old little girl that had never been comforted. So that's really hard for me to talk about, but in fact, I'm not sure that I have actually told many people about that experience when she was 8. That was when I realized that all the therapy that I put myself through when I was in my early 20s, my late teens, early 20s, that yes, it had helped me, but it can only get me so far, and that I had more work to do. So I took myself to therapy again and dealt with that, and then that got me so far, and then something else would come up, and then there's boom, some other new thing that I thought was dealt with that keeps resurfacing because it's different. I mean, it's like if you take an object that has many sides, and you can only deal with that one side at a time. Like a prism, for example, you can only, if you're looking through it, you can only see through one portion at a time, right? So you turn it and you see something different. You turn it and you see something different. So that's kind of how I relate a lot of things in my life is to a prism. I actually refer to myself as a prism because it's how I view situations in the world and relationships and just everything across the board. So anyway, therapy probably 3 or 4 different times throughout different periods in my life where things would come up. If I had known then what I do now about the inner child on a spiritual level and how that works, none of that none of that would have happened. So I feel that my purpose and my calling in life, I know that my purpose and my calling in life is to reach out to others who have experienced trauma, who've experienced um, any kind of painful experience that stays with you, to basically my life and everything I've experienced has been training me and preparing me for this exact point in my life so that I can help others navigate through these things much more easily than I did, and help you avoid so many situations, bad decisions, toxic things that you don't have to experience. And if you're already in those situations, I can help you find that self-love and the strength within yourself to get out of those situations. So ended up being a 10-minute short description of what inner child work is, but in a nutshell, and that's a really teeny tiny nutshell, when you look at the big picture of what it actually does and how in depth the work gets. Um, so if that sounds like you, if that is you, and you know it's you, if you've experienced those things, if you're currently in those things, or even if you're the parent of a child that's currently in those things, and you feel that my energy resonates with you, my message resonates with you, definitely reach out to me, and we can talk.